Hi, welcome back to another video. So as you would have seen from the title and the thumbnail, today we are finally going to be filming and talking about every book I read in 2022. If you haven't seen my 2022 reading year in review video, my best books of 2022 video, my worst books of 2022 video, these three and this one I guess kind of form like a whole series of the 2022 reading wrap-ups. This is the last reading wrap-up for 2022 already. The K-drama shows one, they're like on the way I guess. I am going to be talking about every book I read in 2022. I read a total of 147 books, but if you're talking about the actual number of books is 146 because I only reread one book and that was A Magic Steeped in Poison. So I won't be saying, oh, this was when I DNF'd it and this was when I picked it up again. It's not going to be that. It's just going to be the 146 books that I've read, what I've thought about it, as well as the ratings. I'll try to keep this super short, so like very short sentences per book. Yeah, I hope this video won't be that long, but I apologize in advance because I know it's definitely going to be super long. I'm just going to talk about all the books from the first book I read in 2022 to the last book I read in 2022. Okay, so without further ado, let's go. The first book I read was Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I should be moving here. I loved the touch of humor throughout this book so much, and the way that the author handles these trigger warnings result in a story that I find so wholesome and so touching, and it really appeals to my soul. 4.25 stars. Next, I picked up A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. The illustrations were great, the story was fine. I felt like I missed a greater metaphor that this story was alluding to. 2 stars. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. The start and the end were just okay. Things were happening so slowly and I felt that the middle was the best part. 3 stars. Lonely Castle in the Mirror. The way that the author managed to delve into such serious topics but yet managed to keep the story so heartwarming and full of hope and lessons at the same time really impressed me. 5 stars. Through the Moon. It's from an animated series that I've never watched before, so I felt lost, but I don't think it's the book's fault, so I decided to just not give a rating for this one. I Wish You All the Best. It's a story that is so important for so many people but it felt a bit cheesy to me. 2.75 stars. Thunderhead. The ending is so good. I could vividly remember saying, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, over and over again the moment I finished that book. 4.5 stars. Not a happy family. I remember nothing from this book, but I gave it 3.5 stars. I'll Be the One. I am always very apprehensive about books dealing with the K-pop industry and the K-pop world, but this was good and had a really great message that my younger self definitely needed. The dialogue was cheesy, but the plot is so good. 3.75 stars. The Toll by Neil Schusterman. I did not like the way this book ended. I also did not like how the author handled each pairing in this book. The ending also kind of felt like a cop-out, so I gave it 3.5 stars. The Cheat Sheet is a friends to lovers story. I pictured Nathan as the You Belong With Me guy. I can't decide whether it's quirky or it's cringe, but I give it 3.5 stars. The Cat Who Saved Books. The translation was okay in my opinion. You would think that the main character would be the cat, but no, it's not. It's Rintaro. 3.25 stars. Fangirl Volume 1, the manga. I read it because I love Fangirl and that's all. I decided not to give it a rating. You've Reached Sam. I don't get the hype. 1.75 stars. The Maid. How did this win the Goodreads Choice Awards for 2022 Best Mystery Thriller? I don't understand. 2 stars. The Red Palace. All of this author's books read like a historical K-drama, which I really love. The romance in this one wasn't the main focus, but it was unexpectedly cute. I managed to guess who did it even though I'm normally bad at it. 4 stars. Weather Girl. This has fat male representation and I've never read about a meteorologist and a sports reporter in books before, so it was really interesting to read about both of their careers. Fluffy but also steamy. 4 stars. Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Impressive debut, but I felt like too many things were happening in one book. 3.75 stars. The Secret History. The characters were meant to be unlikable, but they just felt bland to me. I really didn't like this. 1.5 stars. Piranesi. This book feels like a fever dream. 2.75 stars. Pumpkinheads was cute. I gave it 3.5 stars. With Love from London. I don't remember reading this book, but I gave it 3.5 stars. The Paris Apartment, I didn't care about this book at all. I was so scared that this would win the best mystery thriller of 2022, but it didn't. I guess at least there's that. 1.5 stars. We Hunt the Flame. I normally really love books with short chapters, but 91 chapters plus an epilogue was not it. I didn't care about the plot and I didn't care about the characters. 2.75 stars. Almost American Girl, no rating because I don't read non-fiction, but I really need more non-fiction graphic novels. Like, that's such a good genre. My god. Winter in Sokcho, I do not understand the point of this book. Nothing happens. 1.25 stars. Shoko's Smile Stories, I liked the first story, the rest were just meh. 3 stars. Human X, I remember the violence of this book, but I felt like the execution could have been done better. 2.75 stars. Guys, I realized that I should have been taking out the books. Please give me a moment while I gather all the books that I've read. I am back with my shelves looking very disheveled because I pulled out everything on here that I read in 2022. So let's continue. Sorry for not remembering to do that just now. Korean Teachers provides a very intriguing perspective of Korean teachers and the struggles they face as a Korean teacher. It reminded me of when I used to study Korean language in my university, and I wanted to read more about the struggles that they face actually. 4 stars. Tempo Alley Summer, I remember the vibes of this and that's all. 3.75 stars. Just Like the Other Girls, I don't remember this book, but I gave it 3 stars. Marriage for One, this felt too long. It was like something that I've read before because of all the super familiar tropes, except for this super weird plot point about something that involves mucus. 3 stars. 9 Lives, I can't tell who's who in this, but I remember the plot twist. 2 stars. The Night Shift, I liked it, but I can't remember anything about it. 4 stars. A Brush with Love reminded me of The Love Hypothesis, one of my faves, but set in a dental school, but it went downhill from there. I didn't feel the chemistry from the 2 main leads. 3 stars. Your House Will Pay, I remember nothing again. 3.5 stars. Lease on Love, this book made me realize how much I hate looking at texting in stories. Didn't feel the chemistry between the 2 main characters. 2.25 stars. The Push, this was a disappointment. 2.5 stars. How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories, I just needed a book to read while I was waiting for my laptop to finish charging while I was in the library. The illustrations were good. 3.25 stars. Mr. Wrong Number, the male main character had personality, but the female main character felt more rude rather than quirky. 3 stars. They Never Learn, I just love willpower. 4.5 stars. The Overnight Guest, I didn't even recall reading this before, so I was genuinely surprised when I saw that it was marked as read on Goodreads. 2.75 stars. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, I thought it was going to be as good as They Never Learn, but it wasn't. 2.5 stars. Vicious, I love found family and morally grey characters. 4.5 stars. The Book of Cold Cases made me realize that there is a difference between thriller books based in a horror setting and horror books based in a thriller setting. I prefer horror books with a thriller setting, but this book was a thriller book with a horror setting. 2.75 stars. Warcross was unexpectedly good, but I did not care about the romance though. 3.75 stars. Written in the Stars was just okay. 2.75 stars. We Have Always Lived in the Castle, I don't remember the content of this. 2.25 stars. Cherish Farah, it was my first social horror book and it has a really creepy tone throughout the book. Creepy undertone, I would say. 3.25 stars. The Cartographers, I love the vibes of this so much, but it has so many plot holes. 3.5 stars. Vengeful, this book had too many new characters that were being introduced. 4.25 stars though, because it's just so good. Sadie, the audiobook is so good for this because of the podcast element, but I again don't remember the plot points of this. 3.75 stars. Wildcard, the magic of the first book, Warcross, has left the building, but that last twist was good. 3 stars. Monday's Not Coming is a mystery done right, everybody. Please read this, as someone who doesn't really enjoy mysteries. 3.75 stars. The Impossible Us, I had that book, but I already gave it away to my friend who wanted to read it. A love story that I have really never read about before. 3.5 stars. Part of Your World, I don't remember this. 3.25 stars. Good Intentions, Importance Read at Impressive Debut. 3.5 stars. Under One Roof, I thought it was cute. I gave it 3.75 stars. This Woven Kingdom made me realize that my love for insta-love is now a thing of the past. I liked the plot though. 4.25 stars. Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I didn't expect myself to love this as much as I did, but I do. 4.25 stars. The Picture of Dorian Gray, I got the wrong copy, but I hated whatever I read of this. 1.5 stars. Dear Martin, still very much an important read today, 3.5 stars. Truly devious. They say that you're either a Good Girl's Guide to Murder fan or a truly devious fan. I am the former, 3.25 stars. Finlay Donovan is killing it. This is so ridiculously funny, 4.25 stars. Sweet bean paste, this one made me crave for dorayaki, and for the longest time I was picturing dorayaki as this, but it was actually this, 3.5 stars. Gallant, good start, be it with the illustrations or the writing, but it went downhill from there, 3 stars. Tales from the Cafe, this was even better than Before the Coffee Gets Cold in my opinion, 4.5 stars. I believe I have a copy of Blood Sugar, but I have no idea where it went, I'm so sorry. A psychologist who's also a murderer, like, I am definitely intrigued, but I gave it 3 stars. Finlay Donovan Knocks Him Dead kind of suffered from second book syndrome, 3.5 stars. The Tea Dragon Society made me realize how much I need a tea dragon in my life, 3.75 stars. Local Woman Missing, I actually remember the twist, but I can't decide whether the twist was mind-blowingly good or just illogical, 2.75 stars. Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. I went into this expecting bookstore vibes, but I got a lot of boob mentions instead. I do not want to know how many times boob was mentioned in this, 1.75 stars. Juniper and Thorn was my first gothic horror. This also had weird stuff with respect to nipples, but the plot is better, and this has insta-love, but it kind of became better after that, so I guess maybe insta-love is not like a thing that I can completely rule out. As long as it gets better, I'm okay with it. 4 stars. From Lukov with Love, this is about rivals to friends to best friends to lovers, and if you read this, if you're not enjoying it, just hold on until the second half, 4.25 stars. Himawari House is so beautiful, it's like a super thick graphic novel. One of the characters is Singaporean, is slice of life, 3.75 stars. Really beautiful art as well. We are now at book 76, which is The Vanishing Stare. Truly Devious was 63. You can tell how little I care about this series. But okay, to be fair, one scene in this, with respect to hidden doors, gave me goosebumps, 3.75 stars. The faceless old woman who secretly lives in your home kind of suffered from a case of mismatched expectations, 2.5 stars. Children of Blood and Bone feels really strangely like a familiar but also unique story, but I am not going to be continuing on with the series, I don't think. 3.5 stars. Stuck With You is the worst out of all 3 in this novella series in my opinion. This is about the 2 main leads being stuck in an elevator, and with just 2 people. The guy is big enough that he takes up 3/4 of the elevator, 3.5 stars. Book lovers, the last chapter made me so happy, 4.25 stars. Nimona, we need more graphic novels like this with such a wonderful plot and characters, and it's a standalone, 3.5 stars. Castles in Their Bones is about 3 sisters, 3 different romances, and I loved all of them, 3.5 stars. A Darker Shade of Magic, I love Cal, but the audiobook is not it. 4 stars. Set on You, I wasn't really into this because I wasn't really into the romance for this because they're technically one big family. Their grandparents married each other if I'm not wrong, but the last confession was cute, I guess. 3 stars. Stepping Up, I personally related to Beth so much because she was feeling lost in life, and I really hope that I'll find my way like how she did in the story. And Albert is such a cute character. He calls the emojis the little pictures. So awesome! 3.75 stars. Sadie on a Plate, I loved the MasterChef competition element in this, 3.5 stars. 17A Kyungsik Road, the video is still not out, but it's super good. I loved learning more about Singapore via Charmaine Leong's experience growing up there, and I didn't give it a rating because I don't rate non-fiction, but it's really super good. The Tea Dragon Festival, I love the plot in this even more, 4 stars. The Dead Romantics, for some reason, I cannot stop thinking about this book, 4.25 stars. 1,000 Steps into Night, I feel like this book would have been like a 5-star favorite if I read it when I was younger, 3.5 stars. Below Zero, this was a 4 until he started likening the female main character's body to topographic features on Mars in the steamy scenes. That took me out of the story super quickly, 3.75 stars. A Magic Steeped in Poison, I loved the focus on tea and the tea magic, the competition element in this as well, the food descriptions, oh my god, don't read this when you're hungry, please don't, 4.75 stars. At book 93, The Hand on the Wall, I honestly didn't really care about this book, I just wanted to finish out the series, 2.75 stars. Hi, hello, it is voiceover Elise back again because filming Elise screwed up again. Basically, I missed out a few books I hope these two are the only ones that I missed out, but basically book 94 was supposed to be the Tea Dragon Tapestry, which was the last book in the Tea Dragon series. I honestly need more of this series because I just love the idea of tea dragons and what they stand for. I gave it 3.75 stars. I'll just continue regular programming for now. Almond, I really thought this was going to be a 4 until the ending. 3.5 stars. The Apartment Upstairs was a super quick, easy thriller. 3.5 stars. And you guessed it, I am back again because I also missed out book 97, which was Note to Self. So I love the concept of this because I also have a habit of writing letters to my future self electronically, and I don't know, it just gave me a lot of nostalgia. 3.5 stars. And hopefully these are the only 2 books that I missed out and I have to use a voiceover for. Goodbye. Tau A for Aunties. I love how funny the aunties are as well as the representation of Singlish in this. 4.5 stars. The Poppy War, I felt like I should have known before going into this that I would be bored, but I kind of had like high expectations because it was super hyped. I went in hoping for the best, but I give it 3.25 stars. The Bodyguard, I love the concept but not so much the execution. 3.5 stars. A Gathering of Shadows was more slow paced than the first book. 3.25 stars. Notes on an execution, when I finished it I felt like this would be a really great book to read for a book club because it provoked a lot of thoughts in me and made me want to like discuss about it with people. 3.5 stars. The People on Platform 5, I wish I could have their found friendship in this, and it's on a train setting, like so cool. The Formidable Miss Cassidy, I love how unique the plot is in this based on Singapore's culture. 4.5 stars. The video is also not out yet. Quiet Girl in a Noisy World, an introvert story. I relate to this story so much. 4 stars. Project Hail Mary is my favorite sci-fi till date. 4.5 stars. Nettle and Bone had all the vibes of a dark fairy tale but isn't as good. It somehow didn't grab my attention enough. 2.75 stars. How to Fake It in Hollywood is a romance novel with serious themes of addiction. 3 stars. Stay Awake has a gripping storyline whose plot review I still remember. 4.25 stars. Final Girl Support Group. I haven't seen any slasher movies prior to reading about this. The gory parts of this were nightmare-inducing. 3.5 stars. Pieces of Her, don't even bother wasting your time on this, I'm so sorry. 1.25 stars, it was super boring. Love on the Brain, the ending became a little weird, but other than that, I really love this so much. 4.5 stars. This Time Tomorrow, I vaguely remember disliking this book. 2.5 stars. Maybe you should talk to someone. I don't rate non-fiction again, but this really gave great insight into what goes on in therapy sessions, and I find that it has really helped me a lot in this semester, especially because I'm taking counseling psychology. I'm really reminded of this book every time I go for lessons. I'm Glad My Mom Died. This was such a compelling but heartbreaking read, and I love it so much. Your heart will break for the author while reading this, Jeanette McCurdy. No rating because I don't rate non-fiction, but definitely one of my favorites. Girl Forgotten was better than its prequel, but would I recommend you to read this series? I'm not so sure about that. 3.5 stars. The Trials of Morgan Crow was so soft. Oh my god, I love reading about Morgan going through all the different trials in this. 4 stars. The Turn of the Key was a booktube darling that turned out to mostly be a case of too high expectations for me. 3.5 stars. Mexican Gothic, I personally found this to be boring. 2.5 stars. Your Letter, I don't think I've ever been more passionate about a webtoon book. 5 stars. Home Before Dark was so good. I finally read a book that scared me. I legit got scared while I was reading at night. 5 stars. Garlic and the Vampire is so cute and so cozy. It's really, really great to read this during the fall. You get all the cozy vibes. 3.5 stars. Caraval, I just don't think I like circus stuff. 3 stars. The House in the Cerulean Sea, I wholeheartedly love and support all the characters in this book. The main characters at least. It was a book that definitely lived up to the hype, which was a lot. 4.5 stars. Coraline, I can't believe this book is intended for middle grade readers. Buttons for Eyes? Oh my god. The story was just okay though. 2.5 stars. Then I gave it to my friend also. Nora Goes Off Script. I found it to be too fast paced and a little bit unrealistic. I didn't feel any chemistry from the main characters, but I did like the ending. 2.5 stars. Before Your Memory Fades was a case of fatigue for me. I gave this 3 stars. Daughter of the Deep was a forgettable middle grade. 2.75 stars. A Venom Dark and Sweet, because the magic was removed from a magic steeped in poison, it was just left with poison. I'm kidding. But this book is a lot about politics, which I don't really enjoy reading about as much 3.5 stars. Four Aunties and a Wedding is the sister that pales in comparison to the overachieving sibling. Just Stop at Dao Four Aunties, 3 stars. The Change, again, women empowerment for the win, 3.5 stars. Pretty Girls was a really heavy book with a lot of trigger warnings and it felt too long for me, 3 stars. The Measure was a thought-provoking story which made me really analyze and think about our current society and how it's like, 3.75 stars. Hidden Pictures, oh my god, I think it's my second favorite horror. I loved the creepiness and mixed media elements of this, and this is the book that I was talking about, the horror set in a thriller setting, 4.25 stars. The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is a super quick and easy YA read that's actually quite good, 4.25 stars. Love Like Farms is a really cute Christmas read, 4.25 stars. Beach Read is a contemporary filled with traumatic backstories, sprinkled with romance that grew on me a lot more after I finished it, 4.25 stars. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, I feel like you need to be in the right headspace to deal with this because it's very slice of life and it actually took quite a while. I think I DNF'd it once, then I picked it up again, 4 stars. The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, a book that did not stand against the test of time, 2 stars. XOXO, for a book that is about the K-pop industry, I didn't find it cringe. I actually really enjoyed the plot a lot. I love the writing, but not too sure about how realistic it actually is, 4 stars. Still Alice, a book that I kept wanting to read and I didn't want to put it down, 5 stars. Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry was kind of cringy at times, 3.75 stars. Queen Move, this was just fine, 3 stars. Mornings in Jenin, historical fiction is generally not a genre that I enjoy anymore, 2.75 stars. Ziggy, Stardust and Me, I honestly did not care about this at all, 2.5 stars. And last but not least, The Raven Boys, a very underwhelming booktube darling, 3 stars. And with that, we have reached the end. As you can see, my last few books of the year were not that great, but yeah, I think overall it was still like an okay reading year. I had quite a bit of greater reads towards the second half of the year. Sorry that I didn't include all the trigger warnings and I didn't hold up the books at the start of the video. Let me try to show to you all the books. Just one pile. Okay, so yeah, we have finally come to the end of this video. I hope it wasn't that long. I really tried to say it as quickly as possible. I hope it was still coherent enough. If you like this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel to see more of such content. And I hope you're having a great day or a great week whenever or wherever you're watching. Remember to stay hydrated and yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!